Hi, my name is S.A.HODDER and welcome to this fourth and final class of Introduction to DSLR Photography. Over the last three classes I've been talking about different ways of manually controlling and using your camera, the settings on your camera like your aperture, your shutter speed, your ISO, the exposure triangle. So by having a grasp on this when you go out to take picture, the next step, and this is what I class as a carryover to the next course that I normally teach at College of the North Atlantic in Cornerbrook is elements of photography. Because now we get more into the setting up of your pictures and taking different types of pictures. So for today's class, what I'm going to be talking about is composition and how to frame your pictures. So what I mean by composition and framing of your picture is how you actually line up your picture. And a lot of times photographers go out there and take pictures and don't really look at how they're framing their shot and go home and crop afterwards. I like using the camera to take the picture as I want it the first time, so I don't have to take multiple shots to get the right shot. It takes a little bit longer, but it gives me the end result that I want, so I don't have to spend a lot of time on editing. So like I say, this is something I normally teach, and doing it in person in a classroom is completely different than doing it online and in your own little setting at home. But during this COVID time, I found that this is a great way for me to share my knowledge and my passion for photography and teaching people how to take pictures. So let's get started on what I'm actually talking about when I'm talking about framing and composition. When you compose pictures, a lot of it has to do with setting up the picture. Some people look at composition with using a light meter and bracketing within the camera, which is a great way to do it. But the biggest thing for capturing a picture that's going to be a great picture compared to a good picture is how you actually line it up. And this is where the rule of thirds comes into play that I'm showing on this grid right here. Because the rule of third is a rule of thumb for how to have things set up in your picture. So when you look through your viewfinder, is how everything is lined up, so it creates a balance within the picture. So remember how people used to go around when they were doing pictures like this here? And this is actually to get the framing right, because you want to be able to get the framing in your picture and in your frame right, so everything is laid out properly, so you create a flow. So I'm going to be showing you different pictures here now with what I mean about that, and I've added on the grid for the rule of third and the thumb and how to use it. The first picture I got here I took a couple years ago down in Rose Blanche Lighthouse. When I got there and I walked down the trail towards the lighthouse, I liked the rail that was going there, because to me it's a beautiful line that leads to the lighthouse that you can see in the background. So what I did is I actually focused on the front post in the fence to create the depth of field that I wanted within the picture. And then after that I then set up the camera so I had the rail coming into the picture from the corner. And as you can see on the next picture I have here is that this is where the leading lines and the rule of third comes in, because you can see how the bridge, how the fence comes in and runs along the bottom line of the rule of third. And then on the outer side, then you can then see how the lighthouse is just around the rule of thirds there. So it creates this flow and balance within the picture, but also leads you into the lighthouse. You follow the railing and the fence and then right to the lighthouse, and this is where you have your picture. The next picture I put in here is one I took a couple weeks ago, and this is going down to Blomidon Mountain. And what I did here is, I've always seen this picture of the road and then the mountain in the background, but I wanted to create this line that leads you towards the mountains. So what I did is I got out of the car and then I got the caption of the road and then going down the hill and then going off into the distance, but it brings you straight into the mountain. And this is where again you can see by the rule of third that I have here how the road and the line down to the mountain actually goes according to the rule of third, so it brings you into this balance. But also this one has a tri-layer within the picture, because you have what's called the foreground, then you have the medium ground, which is the mountain, and then you have the top part of the rule of thirds, which is in the sky. And this is another way that you can use the rule of thirds, is by stacking in 3 different layers within your picture. Now, rule of thirds is not only just for when you're doing landscapes. It can also be used for when you're doing portraits. So the first one I have here is of Christine, where it's showing that I've taken her a little bit off to the side and set it up according to that. So I wanted her eye just to be on the corner of the rule of thirds, so it creates this empty space in front of her, but it keeps a balance within the picture, because you can see her eye and her chin are lined up on the rule of third here. So again, creates this open space for where you can be thinking about what is she looking at, or what is down what she's looking at, or is she praying, or whatever. But this is again how you can use the rule of thirds within the portraits. And next I got another one I took a couple years ago of Melissa, and this is again where she's holding the lantern and her face and everything, and trying to get the gown in there in the middle of winter. And as you can see on the rule of third on this one here, that the lantern is in the bottom corner of the rule of third, and her head is then on the upper line of the rule of third, and her back is then on the outer line. So it then creates this full U shape within the picture that again creates a balance. So this is how you can use it vertically and horizontally within your pictures, because not every picture has to be taken horizontally for using this and getting a great effect. And this is where this comes into effect. And the next one is one that I used on the cover here, which was then taken up in Marble Mountain, where I'm showing that with the lift here, that if you take it horizontally, what a picture would actually look like. It looks okay, but I almost have too much on the side because the lift is right in the middle of the picture. So I flipped my camera over specifically for showing you guys this, and this is how then, by doing it vertically, how you then can create more depth within the picture and a leading line of the lift going up the hill, because you get brought right into the lift in the bottom part of the picture, and then it goes up, working with the shadows in the bottom. Now, is this the only way you can use the rule of third? No, because you can also use it for afterwards, because when you're doing bird photography or wildlife photography, it can be a little bit more tricky, because you're focusing and having them possibly right in the middle of your viewfinder to keep them in focus. Well, after, when you're cropping your pictures, you can then set up and use a rule of third for when you're setting up your pictures. Okay, so this is what I got done on the next one here with the seagull I took last week, where the seagull is sitting on a rock and is cawing. So I went home and I then cropped it out, so I had the seagull, and as you can see on the rule of third that I have here, that is actually the bird itself is right in the corner of the rule of third. Now, why do you use the corners on the rule of third? Well, that's because this is the first places that your eyes actually focus on. And no matter where you go, you'll always find that the rule of third is used in different ways, and to bring out something for you to see first. And this can be in advertisements that you see on in flyers, or on the internet, or on TV. You'll always find that the main thing and the main wording is always put in the rule of third for you to see that, because that's the most important thing in the picture that advertisers want you to see. So the next one, again, I did it where I took got 2 seagulls in the picture, and then I cropped it so that the top one is almost standing on top of the other one, that the wingspan on the back of it is on the top line of the rule of third. And again, you don't want everything to be placed right in the middle of the picture, because by placing things in the middle of the picture, it just becomes somewhat of a blah picture. Okay, so always keep that in mind when you're doing it, because the rule of third will create a balance here. And lastly, I'm just putting in a picture that I just took yesterday, just sitting going down to the beach. I love the again, the sky was beautiful, the clouds were beautiful, and then you had a little bit of wind, so create some waves in the picture, and then you had the coastline. And this is again using the horizon and the shoreline across the bay as the top line of the rule of third. And this is what you look at. And some cameras, you can build this and you can set this up in your viewfinder so you can actually see a grid. It's called a 3x3 grid. in your viewfinder. And you'll find that under your viewfinder settings, under your menu. So this is a great thing to set up in your viewfinder, because use it then as a reference point. Another way to do it is, some cameras don't have this option, but then you have the dots within the window of your viewfinder. Canon has one style, Nikon has another, Sony has a third, but by using these as the rule of thirds when you're taking a picture and ensuring that not everything is placed within the middle is the biggest thing for creating a balance. So don't always just place them in the middle and then do whatever. Try to save yourself some time by taking a picture where the rule of third is in the back of your mind, because it creates just this balance, and you'll find a change in your pictures and the quality of your pictures. And you see that on different pictures that you go through. So if you go through online and go through your pictures and open them up in Lightroom or Corel or Photoshop or whatever you use, and just look at the pictures and try to trim them by using the rule of third as a thumb. Okay, so I hope this has helped you for today. This is the end of my introduction to DSLR. If you want to learn some more, take a look at my Elements of Photography or any other of my tutorials. Please make sure you follow me on YouTube. Stay up to date with new classes that I might be posting. And please, if you have any questions, please let me know. And remember, share, follow, and subscribe to my channel for further updates. Have a great day, take care, and be safe.